Filling the ds-160 form can feel overwhelming at first glance, and some complaints I've heard that, like some people complain about how the form is too long, it's tedious, stuff like that. And then somebody lost his ID number. Can you imagine? Okay, so in this video, we'll walk you through every section of the ds-160 form and how to fill it accurately. Hi, and welcome to the channel that brings you scholarship and financial opportunities your way, as well as guide you on how you can secure these scholarships successfully. Today's video will guide you on how you can fill your ds-160 form accurately and with ease, and we'll also be sharing tips on the best response for some sections in this form. This form can be filled at your own pace, trust me, and you can choose to fill each section at intervals and save to continue whenever you decide. So the process is quite easy. Now let's head to the website. First things first, before coming to this website to fill the form, you need to get 2 documents ready and with you while you're filling the form. Okay, now the 2 documents that you'll be needing to fill this so you avoid errors and so they correspond is your CV and your form I-20. Now, everything on your form I-20 has to correspond with whatever you're going to be filling here, and same thing goes with your CV and your LinkedIn pages. So we'll be going down to the details in a bit. Alright, so now we are on the website here, and then this is the website where you apply for non-immigrant visa and the online non-immigrant visa application ds-160. Alright, so now you can fill this form and submit it within 72 hours before your scheduled interview date. Right, I'll encourage you to take your time to fill out this form so you do not make any mistakes, and make sure you do not do it in a hurry, like wait last minute still. It's like 3 days to your visa interview before you start with filling this form. Before filling this form, I'll advise you that you locate which US embassy is closest to you. For example, as a Nigerian, there are 2 US embassies in Nigeria. There's one in Abuja and there's one in Lagos. So if Lagos is closest to you, fill in Lagos, and if Abuja is closest to you, you have to pick Abuja. The first thing you're going to be doing is to fill out this code as seen here. Now the code, you have to type it out in capital letters EKR. Make sure you type everything out in capital letters, and then you select where you'll be applying for your visa. So in Nigeria, we're going to be selecting Nigeria. Lagos, Nigeria. Okay, and then you enter, and okay. I always advise that before you start filling out the form, ensure that you read everything on the screen. For example, here they said important, before you start, learn about types of visas. This website is designed to be accessed using Chrome, Edge, or Firefox only. Gather your documents, and if you don't know the documents that are needed, you can check them here. Review the instruction and frequently asked questions. Now, it's important that you read instructions before going ahead to start filling the form, because sometimes forms are timed, and then you also might not know that if you don't save your form in a certain time frame, you're going to lose the information that you've already put. And to save you the stress of starting all over again, I'll advise that you save your form. So it's important that you read every instruction on every form before you begin filling. So now they said other people can assist you with your visa application. Know that under US law, you must electronically sign and submit your own application unless you qualify for an exemption. Now, here you can choose to start an application, you can choose to retrieve an application. To retrieve starting an application is for people that have not already filled this form. If you want to retrieve your application, that means you have to input your application ID, which I'm going to be showing you later on where you can find it. And you're also going to need to have already started an application and saved your progress before you can come to click on retrieve an application. So additional information is important that you read this. Write down the application ID. You'll be needing this to re-log in, so to speak, into this portal, and then save your application frequently, like I mentioned earlier. So the system will time out after 20 minutes of inactivity, and you will lose all unsaved information. So it's important that as you input your information, you save as you go. This visa application will ask you to upload a digital photo of yourself, test photo, photo standard guide. So you can either test your pictures that you have or you read the photo standard guide. Make sure you meet the requirements for the photo you're going to be using to upload to the site. Now, this code here has changed, and if you can't see the code that is written, you can come here. For emphasis, I'm just going to click on it, and then the code is going to change. If you still can't see, you can still click on it, and another one will be given to you. So for this, I'm going to be using this PR5TWT, and then I'm going to go ahead and start application. Now to continue your application, you have to scroll down and read through this and agree to the terms and conditions. You can see here that this is your application ID. You're going to save this number. I like screenshotting. So you're going to save this number so that you can easily come back to it. So once you saved this application ID, you can come back. Okay, let's just copy it. You can save this application ID and then continue with your application. So now the security question is, what is the given name of your mother's mother? If you don't like this, or if you cannot easily remember this question, you can pick some other one that you can remember. Maybe the given name of your father's father. But for the purpose of this application, I'm just going to use this. Okay, so continue. Remember to always save along the way. So you can see that this application is divided into sections, and then there's the personal information where you put your first section with personal information details, and the second section for personal information. And then there's travel companions, there's previous US travel, address and phone, passports, US contact, family, work, education and training, background and security. These are just the sections that you need to fill to complete your ds-160 form. So let's get to it. Now, what's your surname? You can say your son. You can just input your surname. Let's say your surname is George, and your giving name. If you do not have a full name in native alphabet, you just go on and click does not apply. Then continue with filling your form. Have you ever used other names? That is a middle name, religion. Like middle name is the name you use when you were single, and your baptismal name, like your religious name, your professional name. And if the answer is no, you say no. And if the answer is yes, you pick yes and impute the name that you have used, and you impute the name. Do you have a telecode that represents your name? So in this case, it is no. What's your sex? You pick male or female. Marital status, you can pick single, married, or whatever the case is. For your date of birth, you can pick whatever date it is that you were born. For your city, date and place of birth. Remember, it's date and place of birth you're filling in. So you can say you were born in Lagos State, or let's say you were born in Surulere, and your city is Lagos. Now you select a region or a country and you go to Nigeria. So you come down here and save. Now, after you've saved your progress, they'll be asking you if you want to continue your application or you want to exit. Remember, I said you can take this application in stages, but for the purpose of this video, we want to continue filling this application. So we're going to click on continue application. Personal information. For personal information, so you'll be asked to fill in your country or region of originality, and let's get to filling that. So my country is Nigeria. Do you have or hold Do you hold or have you held any nationality other than the one you indicated above or on nationality? The answer is no. Are you a permanent resident of a country? If you are, you pick yes. So the answer is no, you pick no. For the purpose of this video, we're using no. National identification number you click on does not apply. US security number does not apply. Taxpayer ID does not apply. So you save and you continue. This section is a travel information section, and this is where your I-20 comes in, where you put in the purpose of your trip. Now you can say they asked you to select a visa class, so you're going to say, okay, I'm going to use the academic, like I'm going as a student to the US, so I'm going to pick F. Now please specify what category, so F1. If you're going to be going as, let's say you're going for a business trip, let's say temporary business, so you'll be picking B1, B2. For medical treatment, if you're going for medical treatment, you can pick B2. So let's go back to choosing student route, and I'll select F1. Have you made specific travel plans? Please select no. I always advise that you select no in this question. All right, it's in your best interest that you do. For the intended date of arrival, I advise that you put in few days, like few weeks, let's say 3 weeks before your academic resumption. And if you're going for business travel, I advise that you put in 2 weeks maximum, before the day of the meeting. So let's say let's put in next week. This is for the purpose of the video. So how long are you planning to stay in the US? For example, I'm using the student route as I'm filling this form. Let's say I'm going as a student and I'm doing a master's or PhD. So let's say I'm doing a master's program, which is usually like 2 years or 18 months. So you just put in 2 years. Yes, it's always going to be in years. Now, areas where you will stay in the US. Even if you have a family or friend that you'll be staying with, please do not try that. Do not fill in their addresses. Instead, fill in the address of your school. So for my school's address, I'm going to be filling in. For the personal entity paying for your trip, make sure that whoever your sponsor is that you're written on your form I-20 is the same person that you're writing on this as well. So you can pick, let's say, since you're going as a student, you can say employer in the US. Or if you're going like with a company organization is sponsoring your visa, you can pick company or organization. But since I'm going, and then you have to fill out the name of the company, their telephone number, relationship to you, and all of this information. But since we're going as a student, you're going to put in employer in the US. And then you save. For this section of persons traveling with you, do you have anybody traveling with you? If there is nobody, you can say no. If there is, you say yes. And then you follow the. So yes, so for the purpose of this video, it's no. If you at any point you get logged out, remember what I said at the beginning of the video where I said that you have to remember your application ID, which is this. So you can take your application ID and then you move to retrieve. You click on retrieve application, input your application ID and your country, and then you can continue with your application. All right, so for previous US travel information, this section, they're asking you, have you been to the US? If you have, you can say yes. If you haven't, you say no. For the purpose of this video, we're using no. Have you ever been issued a US visa? If you have, you say yes. If you haven't, you say no. Have you ever been refused a US visa or been refused admission to the United States? You say no. For the purpose of this video, we are picking no. Has anyone ever filled an immigration petition on your behalf with United States citizenship or immigration service? You say no, and then you save and continue your application. Answering, is your mailing address the same as your home address? You pick yes. And then for your phone number, you fill in your phone number. Let's say your number is 24675. Then yes, if there's a secondary phone number, you can add it, but if it does not apply, you click on does not apply. Have you used any other phone numbers in the last 5 years? If you haven't, you pick no. If you have, you can pick yes. Now for email address, let's say for filling out your email address, you can put in 245 at gmail.com. And then you move to the section where they ask you, have you used any other email addresses in the last 5 years? If you have, you say yes. If you haven't, you say no. But in this case, I advise that you say yes, and then you input your student email address, because by now, I mean, if you're closer to the interview date, that means you've gotten your student's email address already. So input your student's email address in this section, and then you move on. But for the purpose of this video, we'll be picking no so that we can continue. And here, now the next section is your linked social media profile. Now, which social media profile are you going to be giving? Now, this is where it gets tricky. Don't get tempted to give them your Facebook or your Twitter or your Instagram profile. Make it professional. Give them your LinkedIn profile, and make sure your LinkedIn profile corresponds with what is on your CV. Make sure it also corresponds, whatever you're filling in here as well corresponds with what is on your LinkedIn. So make sure that whatever you fill here correspond with other forms that you filled in this entire travel process, the emails, the social media, your CV. Make sure your work experience, the way it's going, the trajectory and everything correspond with what is on LinkedIn, and whatever is on LinkedIn corresponds to what's on your CV as well. Now, let's say I'm asked to input my social media handle, that's my LinkedIn handle. How can I be identified on LinkedIn? So I'm going to use Rose. Now, do you wish to provide information about your presence on any other website or applications? So you click no, and then you save and continue. Always remember to save your progress as you go. So the next step is your passport ID. So now your passport travel documents type, you can say regular, which is your regular international passport, and then your passport number you can impute one. Now for your passport book number, if it does not apply, you pick does not apply. Country or authority that issued passports with documents, you pick Nigeria. City, where was the passport or documents issued? So you pick Lagos State. State, province, if shown on passport, Lagos. Country or region. Then you fill in your issuance date. You can just, for the purpose of this video, just pick a random date. Expiration date. Make sure you do not fill this in a hurry. It's very important that you do not fill this in a hurry. Make sure that you've taken your time so you do not make any mistakes, and you have someone guiding you to fill it. Okay, so have you ever lost a passport or had one stolen? So no, and then you save and continue. Moving on to the next section. The next section is US point of contact information. So for this section, you need information from your I-20 as well to fill it. So I can always say, make sure everything in this form corresponds with your Form I-20 and every other document that you'll be required. Make sure everything corresponds, so it did not look like, oh, you don't know what you're doing, or you're a fraud, or you're trying to deceive them or something. Make sure everything corresponds. All right. So moving on to fill this form, you fill in your DSO for academic studies, and then if you are going with a company, you have to fill in the name of your employer. Then let's say the name of my was surname. Organization name, so you write the university. Relationship, for the relationship part, you select school official. Don't be like me, please check your spellings and make sure they're accurate. So your relationship with the person is school official. So if you're going for you're going via work visa, you have to pick up employer as the person that you're going with, or whatever the case may be. You can pick any of this, but since we are going with an F1 visa, we are going with school official. Address and phone number, point of contact. Now you have to fill in this person's address, phone number, and the rest of them. So once you're done filling all of this, you save. Just fill in your school's address for this section for your DSO's contact details. All right, then you click on next. Then we're going to be filling in your family information. So you're going to start with his surname. If you do not know any areas you do not know, click on do not know. So let's start with George. And his given names is, let's say his given name is Donald. Then his date of birth. If you do not know, you just click on do not know. Is your father in the US? You say no. Then you do the same thing for your mother. What is your mother's name? You say and then her name is. And for her date of birth, if you do not know, you click on do not know. Is your mother in the US? No. Do you have any indeed relatives, not including parents, in the United States? So this question, you can choose to say yes, and you can choose to say no. So if you have any uncles or aunties that are in the USA, you can pick yes. If you don't have, just click no, and then you save your application. Still under family information, you're going to be asking you for your spouse details. So this spouse section under relate family came up because you said you're married. If it wouldn't come up if you picked like you're single. So because you're married, you have to fill up this section and then move on to the next section. For this section, for your work education and training section, you'll be needing your CV. Remember I said all the information that you're imputing in this form has to correspond with what is on your CV, and also has to correspond with what is on your LinkedIn profile. Remember, your LinkedIn profile is what you added on your social media profile when they asked for it, right? So you want to make sure that everything corresponds with each other, so you do not look like you are a fraud. Put in your primary occupation. Any area that does not apply, you click on does not apply. Then you add the phone number of your company, like where they can reach out to your company and the country. So now you also write where you started working. And the year you started working with them. So let's say the year you started working was 21. So monthly income, you have to fill in your monthly income. For briefly describe your duties, you have to briefly describe your job description, like when you were a teacher in that school, what exactly were your duties. So write your duties in 5 points, and when you're done with that, save and you continue. For this section where they're asking you if you've been previously employed, if you've been previously employed, you say yes. If you've not been previously employed, you say no. So if you've been previously employed, you click on it, and then you click the name of your employer, the address of the company, and every other information that needs to be added. And then you briefly describe your job duties while you were there. And if you're done with that, you save it, and then Once you're done with that, you save it. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to be clicking on no. And the next question is, have you attended any educational institutions at a secondary level or above? And then you click on yes, because of course you've attended institutions like university. Now you have to write the name of the university where you feel, let's say you went to the University of, let's say I went to then you write the address. Write your address in full. Then you write your postal code 1010. Then the country where this university is. Let's say University of Lagos. Lagos University is in Nigeria. So, and then input your course of study. Let's see. Let's say I did now for the date of attendance. You have to make sure that the date you write here corresponds with what is given to you on your certificate. Why am I saying this? Now, the dates you write here sometimes will differ because let's say you actually were done in university in the year 2022, but after everything, before you now went for service, and then on your certificate you now see that they wrote 2023 as your year of graduation. Please follow what is on your certificate. Don't go and write something else. Just follow what is on your certificate. So remember, I want to make everything in all our documents correspond with whatever we are filling in this form. So let's say I started schooling in 2017. Let's say I said April 2017 and I graduated 2023 because 2023 is what is on my certificate. So make sure you go with everything that is on your certificate and is accurate. Do not make any mistake with that. Save. Do you belong to a clan or tribe? Yes. And if you do not belong to any, you say no. So for Nigerians, we usually belong to tribes. So like there's Igbo, there's Yoruba. So you say yes. And what is your tribe name? You can say you're Igbo. Provide a list of languages that you speak. If there's any other language that you speak aside from English, like French or German, you can add that. So you can name them all here. Have you traveled to any countries or regions within the last 5 years? If you have, you say yes. If you haven't, you say no. Have you belonged to, contributed to, or worked for any professional, social, or charitable organization? If you have, you can say yes. If you haven't, you say no. Then if you have, if you said yes to this question, you have to input the organization name. So let's say I did with Red Cross. Do you have any specialized skills or training such as firearms, explosive, nuclear, biological, or chemical experience? If you have, you can say no. If you have, you can say yes. If you do not have, you say no. Have you ever served in the military? If you have, you say yes. If you do not have, if you haven't, you say no. Have you ever served in being a member of or been involved in a paramilitary unit, vigilante unit, rebel group, guerrilla group, or insurgent organizations? You say no, of course you haven't, because okay, so you're done with this. Most of the questions in this session is going to be no. So you for security background, do you have a communicable disease of public health significance? If you have, you can say yes. Well, ideally your answer is going to be no, because you're going to be really thoroughly checked for this. Do you have a mental or physical disorder that poses or is likely to pose a threat to the safety or welfare of yourself or others? No, obviously. Are you or have you been a drug abuser or addict? No. Now, when you're done with this section, you security background part 2. Have you ever been arrested or convicted of any offense or crime, even though subject of a pardon? amnesty, or other similar action. No. Have you ever violated or engaged in conspiracy to violate any law relating to controlled substance? No. Are you coming to the United States to engage in prostitution or unlawful? So most of the questions in this session is going to be no. So for the security questions, most of the answers will be no. So you just read before you click no anyways. So make sure you're clicking the right things clicking the right answers to the questions. So when we're done with the security and background section, you can save and continue. Additional point of contact information. If you have indicated that you'll be studying in some capacity while in the United States, list at least 2 contacts in your country of residence who can verify that this information that you have provided on this application. So I usually recommend that the 2 contacts that you provide here are your previous lecturers in your previous university. That's your professor, preferably, or your former employer. So before you go and ask your former employer, include your former employer's details here. Make sure that you and that person are in good terms. So for the first one, as you're going as a student, you impute the name of your former lecturer, professor preferably. But if you cannot find a professor, a normal lecturer can do. So you fill out this form, and then the second section you fill out the name of your previous employer. But if you've never had any work experience and you're going for, let's say, a master's, obviously you can fill in 2 lecturers in this section. When you're filling the phone number part, please pick do not apply. Alright, for their phone number and their email addresses, pick do not apply. Don't write out their phone numbers. In the service information section, so for your service ID, where you get your service ID is from your Form I-20. Remember I said you need your Form I-20, your CV, and now there's an additional one, your certificate, so that you can get the date of your admission and the year of your passing out as also. Now you need to get your service ID, your service ID number. You'll be needing that information from your I-20. Now impute your correct service number. Then you impute the name of your school. Impute the name of your school. After you imputed your service ID, impute the name of your school, your course of study, let's say MSc, then the school address, city, zip code, impute the zip code, 3, 2. Then when you're done filling all of this information, then you save and go to the next. information. So remember in the beginning of this application, we were told that there are some requirements for the image you're going to be uploading to this form. November 1st, 2016, eyeglasses will no longer be allowed in new visa photos. So if as long as you've read the information that is required for the photos that you're about to upload, you can go ahead and upload the picture. That's your photo. Actually a passport photograph. That's what you'll be uploading. So you upload it and then you confirm. This is the last thing you'll be needing to fill out the ds-160 form. Now you can see that this was easy and it took, let's say, approximately 25 minutes to fill, and you can do it as well within that time frame. There was no hassle to it. Just know what you're doing. Have your documents and the information, the required information ready before you start filling it out. Now you can do this as well within the same time frame. It's quite easy and it's not going to take a lot of your time. But in case you do not have so much time on your side to fill this form at a stretch, you can break it into sessions. Let's say you fill the first 6 sessions and you save it, and then you come back and fill the next 6 sessions. I'm not even sure it was up to it was up to that many sessions. So ensure that you submit these 2 hours before your visa interview. Please do not do last minute thing because you feel okay, you can still submit it 72 hours before your visa interview. Because you do not want to be filling this form out in a rush. You want to ensure that you take your time and you fill it out. So you have all the time in the world to fill it up before you now cross-check it. Use the remaining 72 hours before your visa interview to cross-check it. Possibly give it to somebody like your elder brother or your parent to look through it for you, or maybe your friend, and ensure that you do not have typos, like to make sure it is accurate. And also please keep a personal copy of this form for yourself so that you can go through it before your visa interview, because when you're answering your visa interview questions, your answers have to correspond with what it is that you wrote in this form and even in your form I-20. Alright, if this video was helpful, please share it to someone who needs this information. Share it to somebody who is about to fill their ds-160 form, and also share this information with your friends and your family so they also benefit from it. Do not hesitate to ask us questions in the comments and we'll respond to you if there's anything we missed out discussing in this particular video. And if you're subscribed, then we'll be seeing you in the next video.